Hi, I'm Alan. May I know your name and age, please?
I'm Dharaj, 30 years,
Okay.
32 years.
Do you have any chest pain?
No,
Okay. Do you have any abnormal feelings in your chest?
no,
Okay. Now I am going to examine your chest. Okay.
okay.
Estimating jugular venous pressure is one of the most important and frequently used skills of physical examination. The jugular venous pressure closely parallels pressure in the right atrium or central venous pressure. First step to measuring the jugular venous pressure, make the patient comfortable. Raise the head of the physical examination table to about 30 degree with patient's supine position. Place the patient's head on a pillow to relax sternocleidomastoid muscle. Use tangential lighting and examine both sides of the neck. Identify the external jugular vein on each side. Then find the internal jugular venous pulsation. Focus on the right internal jugular vein because it is directly in line with superior vena cava and right atrium. Look for the pulsation in the suprasternal notch between the attachment of sternocleidomastoid muscle on the sternum and clavicle, or just posterior to the sternocleidomastoid muscle. Identify the highest point of pulsation in the right jugular vein. It is extend the long rectangular object or cord horizontally on this point and a centimeter ruler vertically on the sternal angle. Make an exact right angle. Measure the vertical distance in centimeter above the sternal angle where the horizontal object crossed the ruler and add to this distance 5 centimeter. The distance from the sternal angle to the center of the right atrium. The sum is the jugular venous pressure. The jugular venous pressure measured at less than 3 cm above the sternal angle or more than 8 cm in the total distance above the right atrium is considered elevated above normal. The carotid pulse provide valuable information about cardiac function, especially aortic valve stenosis and regression. To access amplitude and counter of the carotid pulse, the patient should be supine with the head of the bed elevated to about 30 degree. First, inspect the neck of the carotid pulsation, often visible just middle to the sternocleidomastoid muscle, and place your index and middle fingers or left thumb on the right carotid artery in the lower third of the neck and palpate for pulsation. Avoid pressing on carotid sinus. For the left carotid artery, use your right fingers or thumb. Never palpate both carotid arteries at the same time. This may decrease blood flow to the brain and induce syncope. The amplitude of pulse, this correlates regionally well with the pulse pressure. The counter of the pulse wave, namely the speed of the upstroke. The normal upstroke is brisk. It is smooth, rapid, and follow S1 almost immediately. Auscultate both carotid arteries to listen for root, a murmur-like sound arising from the turbulent arterial blood flow. Place the diaphragm near the upper end of the thyroid cartilages below the angle of the jaw, which overlies the bifurcation of the common carotid artery. A bruit is in this location is less likely to be confused with transmitted murmur from the heart. For cardiac examination, stand at patient's right side. Patient should be supine with upper body and head of the bed raised to about 30 degree. Heart examination consists of inspection, palpation and auscultation. First, inspect the anterior chest for any lesions and caves. Careful inspection may reveal the location of apical impulse. Second, palpation. Palpate in the second right interspace, second left interspace, along the sternal border and at the apical area. To palpate heaves and lifts, use finger pads flat against the chest. Heaves are sustained impulse that rhythmically lift the fingers. It produced by an enlarged right or left ventricle or atrium. Next, for thrills, press the ball of your hand firmly on the chest to check for vibratory sensation caused by turbulent flow. Next, for apical impulse, palpate the apical impulse using palmar surface of several fingers. Once found the apical impulse, make finger assessment with the fingertips, then with one finger. Now identify the location of apical impulse, diameter, amplitude and duration of apical impulse. Location of apical impulse is 4th and 5th interspace. Distance in centimeter. Diameter of impulse is less than 2.5 centimeter. Amplitude of impulse is small and feels brisk and tapping. Next, palpate right ventricular impulse at left sternal border. Place your fingertips in the 3rd, 4th and 5th interspace, then palpate the systolic impulse of the right ventricle. Auscultation. Begin the auscultation of heart with the diaphragm of stethoscope at aortic area at second right interspace. It's close to sternum. In aortic area, S2 is louder than S1. Next, auscultate the pulmonic area at second left interspace. Here, tell the patient to breathe in and out. Try to identify the inspiratory splitting of S2. Next, use the bell of the stethoscope at lower border of the 4th and 5th interspace. Then listen at apex. Next, ask the patient to roll into the left sternal decubitus position. Place the bell of the stethoscope to hear S3 and S4 sound and murmur of the mitral stenosis. If you hear any murmur, palpate the carotid pulse to help to identify the timing and intensity of radiation and find the murmur of systolic or diastolic